Of all the prophecies, we can take one that narrows down to specifics and gives us a timeline and a result for sure. It is either going to happen or it won't. Only time will tell. In Garabandal, one specific prophecy given was from the visionary Conchita. After John the 23rd, there will be 4 more popes, one of which will have a short reign. When John the 23rd died on 3rd of June 1963, we have been waiting since then to see what may occur in relation to the prophecies of Garabandal. The full Garabandal presentation is on this playlist and the link will be in the description box below, but let's continue with this specific prophecy. 4 popes after John the 23rd, and it marks the end of an era. A new time begins. The Pope is to go to Russia, and shortly after his return, hostilities break out and all hell breaks loose between the nations involved. We have had these 4 popes. After John the 23rd died, his successor was Pope Paul VI, and then we had John Paul, who was Pope for only 33 days, ringing true the short papacy of one of these 4 popes. Then elected was the spark from Poland, John Paul II, and then he was replaced and succeeded by Pope Benedict XVI as we entered the new millennium. But now we are on the 5th Pope, Pope Francis. So what does this mean? What does it imply? Is something going to happen? Or is this just going to keep going on forever? Is he the Pope that has to go to Russia, only then for the hostilities to break out between the nations after his return? Well, with the state of the world right now, and Russia being put further on the world stage, and a refreshing portrayal as the enemy of the West, many prophecies are folding into this time period at once. I see it as a jigsaw, with the pieces coming together to form the overall picture. That picture is the conclusion of the century, the triumph over evil, which God granted our Blessed Mother to sort, beginning in Fatima, working through Garabandal and Akita, and now finalising it in Medjugorje, where she expressed it clearly when she said, "I will finish here what I began in Fatima. My Immaculate Heart will triumph." So, it is to be concluded in Medjugorje. This past century, which has given us 2 world wars, communism, decline in morals since the 1960s, the formation of the European Union, which turned its back on its historic ties with the Church and God, with writing its new constitution, bringing in further hardships on the faithful, to name but a few, since then. Basically, the Western world, NATO, the EU, have began making the world in their own image, with their own designs and plans for humanity and how the world should be. They have become their own creators, as Our Lady pointed out in Medjugorje. But this is nothing new. This is history repeating itself in a new era. It's humanity repeating the same mistakes that has been made since the beginning. If you look at the historic factors throughout the Bible, the Israelites are in favour with God, they go some time, and then they turn their back on God. Disaster strikes, and they are humbled enough in the end, and then through such a moment, their conscience and nature realign back to God, and all is well again. It's the same story, just new places or characters, but the same lesson remains the same. Now we are in the new era where this has happened, and we are about to be humbled to get back on the right path. But from biblical times until now, it's a whole new ballgame. This time we have the power to destroy ourselves. Nuclear weapons across the planet from opposing nations, space warfare now being spoken recently on the news, along with asteroid defence systems. How can all this be on the same news channels within the same week, along with all that's happening with Russia, Great Britain and the West? It's not leaving our televisions for one day. All these things at once, and many people are not listening. Something isn't clicking. Okay, so what does this have to do with Russia and Pope Francis? When the 4th Pope in the Garabandal prophecy ended his papacy, Pope Benedict, that day Declaring his resignation, the Vatican was struck by lightning. This date was February 11th, 2013. 2 days later, on February 15th, a meteor landed in Russia. Then the conclave of cardinals elected George Bergoglio, who took the name Francis on March 13th, marking him the Pope of this new era. I was a seminarian studying in Rome during all of this. Speaking about such a historic moment is for another video, but it is something I will never forget. Apparently the last thing Cardinal Bergoglio did before heading to the conclave was to give Ivan the Medjugorje visionary permission to have his daily apparition in public in the diocese. But what stood out for me, and no doubt for hundreds of millions of people around the world who are in the same mindset as myself, the first actions of this new Pope were to consecrate his papacy to the Immaculate Heart of Mary. This is an alert moment. New Pope in the new era, consecrating to Our Lady, the Immaculate Heart. That is all about Fatima. There's something being fulfilled here. Only then, a few weeks later, another meteor lights up the night in Argentina, where Pope Francis is from. 2 meteors landing on Earth a month apart, with the conclave in the middle. Russia and Argentina, where the new Pope is from. Is it a coincidence, or is it part of the biblical passage in Revelation where it speaks of the stars falling from the sky during this time of battle between the beast and the woman clothed in the sun? Well, as my other presentation videos have pointed out, Russia is the key theme. It is central to everything. Western media seem to have a refreshing image of Russia in the making these past couple of weeks that is putting Russia back as the old Cold War enemy with its same tactics. But Russia is not going to be the one spreading evil. The prophecies show that Russia will convert and will show the West the path of conversion back to God. Already in Russia there is a springtime of faith blooming. The Cold War era and communism are no longer there. President Putin is very close with the Russian Orthodox Church and has been to the Vatican on a few occasions, and even Pope Francis made history by being the first Pope in a millennium to meet with the Russian Patriarch. Could it therefore be the case that President Putin has politely invited the Pope on a state visit to Russia, now that he has been formally welcomed at the Vatican on more than one occasion? The Vatican in Russian diplomacy is stronger than ever, so it would fit. This leads therefore to the Garabandal prophecy. The 4 popes have been. Yes, Benedict is still alive at the time of this recording, but that marks the end of the era according to the Garabandal visionary. So regardless who the current pope is, we are in the new era. There is so much happening at once, but let's keep in mind from 2013 until now, Francis has brought a new loving image to the world through his charitable witness as Pope. While he has helped bring stronger ties with Russia and the Vatican, he also brought peace between Cuba and America. However, there is still a battle. We see the good on one side and the bad on the other. Russia is now on the world stage stronger than ever. The West sees it as an enemy for being so, but Syria sees it as a helper. Apparently the Pope sees Putin as a defender of Christians worldwide. After all, the Christian genocide in these countries seemed to go unmentioned in the West. So maybe Russia isn't as bad as our media wants us to believe. I see Russia as being the prophesied tool of God which will bring about the world back on the path to conversion. But at what cost? The times are becoming all the more serious. After 15 years of personal study and interest, along with academic studies, I feel more on edge and alert this year than ever before. It's the motivation behind these videos, and I hope more people come to realise this while there is still time. We should not worry. God wants us back. He wants love, peace, joy in each and every one of us. But we have tried to find it ourselves without Him, and look where we are headed. Francis may be the peacekeeper between the West and East. He may be the Pope who goes to Russia to bring such peace between nations. What better certainty for this to happen than where we are right now? The signs and things to come are one thing, but we must not forget what is asked of us to prevent or lessen such events while getting prepared. Our Lady asks us to turn back to God through prayer and fasting, through love and peace. I pray and hope that we can respond to her call while there is still time. Please like, share and subscribe for following videos to come and to help support the growth of these videos in the channel. Stay tuned for more to come. Thank you.